for Norwich City's game against Huddersfield Town here this evening. Straight off the bat, I'll bring you the team news. Hopefully you can see/hear me. If not, I might have to chuck the phone over in Pad's direction, or we can angle the laptop on the two. But it looks like I'm connection. So hopefully, there we go. We'll do it on one screen. That's fine. Hopefully you can hear me. We've got the Norwich City team here for you, so I'll read it out. It's Tim Krul in goal, Aaron's Omar Bamadeli. There we go. Let's start again. The team is then
Norwich are more cohesive than me and you.
Absolutely. Norwich in a 4-2-3-1. Tim Krul in goal, Aaron's Omar Bamadeli, Hanley and Kenny McLean fills the void at left back. Nunez and Gibbs, the midfield two. A first championship start for Liam Gibbs. Cantwell on the left. Daniel Sinani against his former club on the right, with Kieran Dow behind Josh Sargent. So no team of Pukki. The subs bench: Angus Gunn, Ben Gibson, Gabriel Sara, Onel Hernandez, Aaron Ramsey, Milo Rashica and Jordan Hugill. Pad, plenty to dissect with that. Before we come to the left back situation, let's talk about Teemu Pukki, or the lack of, up front. I mean, Dean Smith did suggest this was a possibility yesterday, some bruising on his foot that he went to have an x-ray for. That isn't particularly good news, particularly when Dean Smith felt that he would be available tonight.
No, we'll have to wait until the post-match to get the full chapter and verse from Dean, but fundamentally, no Pukki for tonight is a major blow, and we await how big a blow in terms of moving forward. But he did say bruising his foot, and it reminded me actually when he was talking about the foot that he has had foot issues before. I think it was that first Premier League season, the Leicester game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so he has had. Now we don't know obviously it's the same foot as that first Premier League season, but clearly it's an area where there has been one or two problems before. So we won't speculate too much beyond that's what we know. That yesterday morning, which worth reiterating was prior to him going and having what Dean described at the time as a precautionary X-ray on a bruised foot. Clearly that's putting two and two together. The fact he's nowhere near, we have to assume that X-ray has turned up something, and as a result, he's not available tonight. And a huge opportunity for Josh Sargent. What Jordan Hugill thinks about again being leapfrogged, at least he's on the bench tonight, but not in the 18 on Saturday, and now only on the bench is another debate. But yeah, all in all, I know he hadn't opened his account yet for the season, but you always feel with him at this level that it's a matter of when rather than if. So in a game where they're desperate to get off and running and pick up their first championship win, not to have their main man at this level for the last 2 years, it's a huge blow. And it would certainly be very good timing if Josh Sargent decided to weigh in with another goal following on from, I think Watford was the last time he scored in a Norwich shirt in normal play. Of course, the last time we were here, he scored the winning penalty against Birmingham last midweek. But yeah, there's no doubt about it. That's a hammer blow, and it doesn't make the task any easier.
No, it definitely doesn't. There's plenty more to dissect out of the Norwich team news, which we'll do in just a minute. I'll just read you the Huddersfield one. I guess the headline is Jordan Rhodes is on the bench. Of course, had a very successful loan spell here in the 18-19 title-winning campaign, wasn't it? They've got Lee Nichols in goal, Turton Hogg, Thomas Ruffles, Kesler Hayden, Holmes, Rodoni, Ward, Lees, and Nakayama. Their subs bench: Jacob Chapman, John Russell, Jordan Rose, Josh Karoma, Will Boyle, Etienne Kamara and Pat Jones. That's one change, I believe, from their victory over Stoke at the weekend. There's been plenty of talk, Pat, about who would slot into that left-back role. Obviously, Dimi Yanulis, ankle ligaments just down in front of us here. Sam McCallum last week in the cup game broke his fifth metatarsal, didn't he? That outside bone on the foot. Yeah, Jakob Sorensen has now gone down with a stress fracture. Kenny McLean starts there, as he did, kind of ended the game at Hull on Saturday. I'm not sure it's a role he's ever performed before prior to that point. It's going to be interesting to see how that works in terms of dynamic, how advanced he is, and I suppose his general understanding of that role in particular.
Yeah, as I'm talking, Connor, can you call up the Norwich formation so as I'm talking here? Because obviously we know he's at left back, and I thought for the 30 minutes or so that he had to do the job at Hull, albeit the game was of a fashion. Yeah, so I just wanted to double check who's in front of him, because that will be important. I think on the graphic it's showing as Cantwell. So those two have got quite a job on their hands, I think, both defensively and offensively. Listen, he's a very experienced footballer now, McLean, and I thought he did the job that he had to do on Saturday, albeit it was Norwich on the front foot pushing for first Nunez's lifeline and then to try and get a winner. So he didn't have to do a huge amount of defensive work as a left back. That might be different tonight, but more importantly, Dean Smith clearly trusts him, because I've got to be honest, that's not how I thought he'd go. I thought he'd
go three at the back.
I did as well. And with Gibson as the left-sided one, I thought. But he clearly feels Kenny McLean can do that role, another Mr. Versatile. And also, it's a big opportunity now with Kenny coming out of that central midfield berth. Liam Gibbs gets, I'm pretty sure I'm saying that's his first championship start, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Of his career. So it's another testament to how far that man has advanced up the pecking order, that he's trusted tonight alongside Nunez, with Dow just in front of them. But I don't have any real fears that McLean can deputise much in the same way maybe Sorensen would do the job, but that's fine for tonight. And if it has to be Millwall, although of course Sam Barham you would hope would come into the equation for Friday, but moving forward you can't proceed with Kenny McLean as your left back option. It's just it's not really on, is it, for a club with pretensions to be at the right end of the table. So it is what it is for tonight, and we all hope come the end of the game we're talking about Kenny McLean with another string to his bow, as we have done with Jakob Sorensen's been deployed at that end of the pitch. But it's not an ideal scenario, and as I say, Cantwell will have to be mindful of that and help where he can defensively, I think, tonight.
Yes, I just want to speak about Liam Gibbs. It's a testament to the work that he's done at pre-season. We obviously saw him at the bench on Charlton. I think there was also a Premier League game. I think United made the bench, or maybe my memory is lapsed.
Yeah,
pre-season was so strong, so positive in terms of taking a step forward. The fact that we've reached the end of August, and all right, it may be down to necessity in terms of kind of injuries in that area, Gabriel Sara not being up to full fitness, but the fact he's being handed an opportunity shows how well he's done in terms of, I suppose, moving himself up the pecking order in Dean Smith's mind and in Dean Smith's thoughts.
And it's good to see that there's a young player there, because we heard a lot about back end of last season with Tony Springett and Johnny Rowe getting their opportunity, and one or two others. Abu Kamara had a look at, and Tompkinson as well, who they clearly like as a central defensive option. But the Gibbs really now in that clutch of development talent last season's squad, he's the one who's pushed himself forward, and he doesn't look out of place. In the albeit cameos that he's had, he looks very comfortable, very composed, and more so when he steps up at this end of the goal where we are tonight in front of the Barclay and slotted a top bins penalty off a two-step run-up. That is a very confident young man, so I don't think he'll be phased. He clearly feels that he's ready to go, and that, if you take that way back, because we know his backstory, that's why he left Ipswich, because he felt he would get opportunities maybe earlier with Norwich, with the commitment to letting the best young players come through and get an opportunity, and at maybe a higher level than he could with Ipswich. And that was a brave move at the time, given the enmity, if you want to call it that, between the two clubs. That didn't faze him, and clearly so far, when he's had a first team opportunity, that's not fazed him. So really looking forward to seeing that man tonight. And we're all desperately hoping, and obviously the news again with Pukki being unavailable tonight doesn't add to the belief that it just would take a spark and it'll click, and then we might start to see this Norwich team fulfil some of the expectations a lot of people have for them, both with the ball at the top end of the pitch and defensively, because both those areas have been sadly lacking in the first three games. And obviously without the main man up top tonight, it's harder, but it's still possible. And what I do like, and we'll probably get into that discussion next, is Sinani in for Rashica, because I think a lot of fans and certainly media, i.e. me, was looking forward to seeing the opportunity for Sinani, because Rashica, I don't think, has done enough in these first three league games. We know the talent that is there and the potential to influence games, but if he's not doing the business, get him out and let's have a look at Sinani when it really matters. And if anyone's going to know the Huddersfield players in the Norwich shirt, it should be Daniel Sinani after what he did last season.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to close off the midfield, going to be interesting to see Nunez in a slightly deeper role tonight. I think he played there for the vast majority of the whole game as a bit more of an 8. That looks kind of official in terms of the way the club graphic is tonight, but no doubt that will be relatively flexible, and I think we'll see Ben Gibbs probably drop into a 6 role, a deeper role, as the game wears on. Let's come on to Daniel Sinani then, because there is obviously the nice narrative side of this. He's coming up against the club that he helps take to the Championship playoff final last year. I think it's his first start of the season, I want to say as well.
Yeah.
Fourth game in. So
league start.
Yeah, league start. He's obviously had to be patient because Milo Rashica's had that role. I think as you touched upon it, we'd probably share this view. Rashica hasn't done enough so far. It felt probably natural that Rashica was going to drop out. It was probably a question mark of who was going to come in. If he can sort of reproduce what we saw last Tuesday night against Birmingham, then he will sort of advance his claims even further.
Yeah, from memory, it was a goal and assist, took a winning penalty as well, and he hit the bar down here in front of the Barclays.
Yeah, I mean, he was also involved in giving the ball away.
We'll gloss over that one, Connor. This is positivity we're trying to spew forth here. But in an attacking sense, he certainly did offer something which, in league football so far this season, they've been slightly lacking. So what has Dean Smith got to lose tonight by having a look at Daniel Sinani in a championship environment? Because if he could get anywhere near to the levels of influence he had in an attacking sense here last midweek, albeit Birmingham, albeit the League Cup, then he's going to be offering more than Rashica has done in the first 3 games. And as Dean Smith said, he's hungry and he wants to prove that he can be a key player for this football club when he probably thought the ship had sailed. And we all know that if Huddersfield had got over the line at Wembley, they would have made that deal permanent. So, sliding doors moment. He finds himself in green and yellow. And if he really carries on in the same vein he left off last midweek, then we may have an answer on that, certainly at least on that right-hand side of the attacking spearhead as it is tonight. But, badly overdue for me because I just think a continuation of the theme with Rashica. Last season, 1 goal, was it 1 assist? I think maybe more assists, actually. Certainly 1 goal at Premier League level. Nowhere near the productivity you need, and I know we're now operating at a step down the ladder, but still, on the evidence of the first 3 games, for me, didn't deserve to retain his place, and it's good to see that, the fabled depth to the squad that Dean Smith is talking about. We've seen it in evidence on the right-hand side of that midfield tonight.
Yeah, Gabriel Sara returns to the bench, as does Jordan Hugill, as Pat mentioned earlier on. Both were left out of Norwich City's matchday squad for Saturday's defeat to Hull. They may well need Jordan Hugill tonight, depending on the way things go. Finally, then, Pat, just to close off, how do you see this one going? Because it feels to me like with every passing game that Norwich City don't extract maximum points from, and for as long as this winless start continues, the pressure ramps up. We spoke on the podcast about this feeling like a big week. 2 home games, Tuesday, obviously tonight against Huddersfield, Friday against Millwall. They're going to be people turning up at Carrow Road tonight and on Friday as well, expecting to see an improvement in terms of results from what they've seen so far.
And there needs to be, because I know it's early. Dean Smith said yesterday 43 league games, and you stop and think 43 league games.
43.
But I think I'm right in saying that they 8 points behind Blackburn. They've won 3 out of 3, 6 behind Watford. How many more points do you allow those type of clubs to accumulate before you get going? So it's imperative. And setting aside the league table dynamic, it's imperative to get a win tonight for these home supporters and the players, in fact, to give them that belief that, okay, we keep hearing about there's no hangover from Dean Smith from the Premier League relegation, that a page has been turned, look at all these new signings. But the only way people are really going to buy that is if they start to put wins on the board and build some consistency in their performances. Yes, of course, I think we'd all agree those first 3 league games, there has been evidence of, I can see what he's trying to do here, and if it clicks, it could be good. It could be good. But ifs, buts, and maybes. Now we need to see some tangible results. And if we don't, even with the mitigation of no Pukki tonight and the carnage at left back, I think there'll still be plenty asking some searing questions of Dean Smith and Norwich more broadly, because we said it on the pod, I think, and it's the greatest respect to these clubs, but if you get to the end of this week and you've played Millwall at home, Huddersfield at home, and Wigan previously at home, and you haven't got a win on the board, very hard to construct an argument Norwich will be at the right end of the table fighting it out this season.
Yes, let's see what we get. It's going to be an interesting night here, irrespective of what happens, judging on that team news as well. Of course, Pat will be putting the questions to Dean Smith after the game. You'll be able to read his reaction, tinkin.com. And if you want to follow the game along, live updates with me on the Pinkin Plus app. If you get to take out a month's trial for that, please do so. Some excellent content in there, on there in terms of written stuff, but also some videos as well. That's well worth checking out, exclusive to subscribers. If you want to take out a month's free trial, Pinkin.com, top left corner there's a tab that says Pinkin Plus. Click on that, follow all the instructions, and you will hopefully find your way on there. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for bearing with us amongst some technical difficulties. We got there in the end. Let's see what we get tonight. Thank you very much for watching.